We've been toying with the nickname of the three unwise men because I see this as an altar of humility, right? Like we're here to come into a remembrance of life and celebration and honoring these different paths. I also see us as wolves of wisdom. I really like that name. It came to me this morning in my meditation, like, what are we really after here? And I think in all of our conversations as friends, we're very honest and open and transparent and vulnerable. And, we're going after fear, right? We're going after humility. We're going after vulnerability. We're going after those aspects that this provides an opportunity for growth.
All right. Well, welcome to the Wisdom Matrix. I'm here with my amazing brothers, Josh and Travis, and excited for everyone who's tuning in to tune in. We're doing things a little differently with this episode because we've now recorded 6 episodes. And we felt it would be fun to take what we've learned and kind of start from the beginning and record what is intended to be the first episode that drops when we launch. We've got a nice pipeline of episodes ready to go, and invite people in. Give a little bit of a sense of who we are, why we're doing what we're doing, or what we're excited about, and where we see this potentially going and building into. And so far, it's been a lot of fun. We dove right in as we like to, and really the idea is that we go broad across wisdom. But then really dig deep into specific topics with people who are really amazing students and practitioners, and who can help guide us through this wild and turbulent and exciting time that we live in. So with that, Travis, Josh, good morning. Great to have you guys here. We're going to have a lot of fun today and on this journey going forward. So maybe just to start, we'll each kind of talk about what got us, individually excited about doing a podcast. Obviously, podcasts are a huge medium. I know it's been something I've been thinking about for now a couple of years, and it's been part of every year going into the new year. It's like start a podcast, and now finally doing it, and luckily doing it with 2 of my best friends. So super excited to have you guys part of this journey. And it's always easier doing something with others than alone. So thank you for the trust in that. So what got you guys excited when the container was started opening for you to jump into this new adventure?
Go for it, Josh.
Yeah, so this is Josh, and it feels like a full circle moment actually for me. I would say I kind of started my transformation journey about 10 or 11 years ago, and podcasting was a big part of that. Like I was a religious follower of Tim Ferriss and Rich Roll, and I really just started to embrace long form conversation and being able to go really deep with a guest or with a podcast host instead of what we were becoming accustomed to, which is quick scrolling and clickbait type of media on the internet. And so over the last 10 years I've been on a journey. I've been a corporate bankruptcy lawyer, but also diving into personal development, men's work, spiritual work, medicine work. And now I'm finding myself where I'm actually leaving my corporate job, literally in the transition of that right now, and been building the coaching business for the last 2 years. And it's just time to take that leap of faith and go all in. But specific to this podcast, like our friendships have been flourishing over the last 10 years. I met both of you in 2016 or 2017. And it's just been an amazing journey, the three of us. And I think what really solidified this excitement to come together and do something like this was a retreat that we hosted together last fall. And the cohesion that we felt amongst the three of us, with our very diverse backgrounds, but also a lot of shared similarities. And I think the thing that the glue to that cohesion is our curiosity. Like we're all three of us are just so curious, and we love knowledge and wisdom and practices, and integrating that stuff into our everyday lives. Like this fast-paced modern way of being can get pretty chaotic, and so it's our natural tendency to follow our curiosity and just how can we slow down? How can we relate better? How can we ground more? How can we clear stagnant energy in the bodies? How can we open our hearts more? How can we attract more? How can we just bring more joy, not only into our lives, but into our families, our communities? And so I really think we're coming together to follow that thread of curiosity and try to share wisdom and share joy.
Yeah, and hopefully not take ourselves too seriously as we're doing it, right, and have fun.
Of course.
I think I think that's the interesting thing in a lot of this work. It can be serious, right, because it's meaningful. It's very deep. It's timeless. So many of this. I mean, if you really dig into some of the traditions that we're going to be talking about, we're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of years, right? And people have devoted their lives and everything to the exploration of some of these topics that we're going to be diving into. But at the end of the day, we got to be present and have fun and laugh about it, because we can't control. There's very little we can control. That is for sure, especially today. And so it'll be fun, and I'm sure we'll get into some of the fun experiences we've had together, and we can decide who's the stronger wrestler. But Travis, what about you, man? What made you excited to heed the call? Obviously, you've had some direct podcast. You have the most podcasting experience of anyone on this, of the three of us. So, what got you excited to jump back in the game?
Well, I want to just piggyback on what you said about, us being together and in this exploration. We've been toying with the nickname of the three unwise men, because I see this, as I'm sure you guys do, as an altar of humility, right? Like we're here to come into a remembrance of life and celebration and honoring these different paths. But I also see us as wolves of wisdom. I really like that name, because it came to me this morning in my meditation, like, what are we really after here? And I think in all of our conversations as friends, over time, we're very honest and open and transparent and vulnerable. And I think we're after, we're going after fear, right? We're going after humility. We're going after vulnerability. We're going after those aspects of that this provides an opportunity for growth. And I really cherish that. And it feels amazing to be walking the path with both of you, and like in this wolf pack of wisdom together. So I love that. I see this as a watering hole for wisdom. People from all walks of life, like if we were all walking through this desert together, it wouldn't matter who you were, where you came from, you would be welcome to come drink from the watering hole. Like nobody's going to be holding you back. So we would all share in that together. We would all celebrate where that source of life and vitality is coming from, and the diversity of the paths that brought us to that watering hole together. And I think that's really beautiful. So this idea of this opportunity of bridging worlds, of the ancient and the heritage and the cultural past, quote unquote past, right, with this modern age. And Matti, you've mentioned it many times, but this idea of like fragmentation, like we all can feel so fragmented by our life, by technology, and coming back to a place that feels like home, a place that feels like unity can really be honored and celebrated. And it also feels a little bit like for us, since we're all on this like personal journey and we're weaving our lives together through this podcast and through the Wisdom Matrix, that it's a little bit like a living journal. Like it feels like we're bringing our stories, we're bringing the richness of our life experience, and we're opening ourselves up and revealing the innermost, innermost aspects of our souls and sharing that as best we can.
Yeah, awesome. And shout out to technology, because while we dive into these amazing wisdom traditions of various lengths of time, but we're also in this amazing modern world where we have abundance, right? And technology enables us to, one, do this together, because we're in 3 different locations. We used to all live in South Florida together, but now you guys are both in South Florida. I'm in Charleston, but we're zooming in from our recording in from different locations, and we will also, including the next couple episodes, we'll all be in studio together, and so that's an exciting opportunity that will come together, on a hopefully fairly frequent basis, both just the 3 of us, but also with guests in a studio setting. But technology enables us to do this, right? So it also, AI enables you, Travis, to, when you come up with concepts like wolves of wisdom, you can very quickly create amazing graphics to hit that point home. And I think that's an important thing. It's on the technology front. Is like, how do we look at technology and all the things that are coming at us, really as opportunities and as gifts, right? Versus threats. And I have 2 teenage daughters, and Travis does as well. And so with kids, it's like, how are we getting them ready for this world that they're kind of stepping into, right? And in a way that allows them to be as optimistic and excited as possible, while being rooted, in first principles, right? So they can have that kind of ballast against, rough waters. But look at the world today and going forward from a mindset of abundance versus scarcity. And I think that's one of the things that really is exciting as we dive into, the topics that we're going to dive into, is that, there's the tools are there for us to rediscover in a lot of ways that allow us to really be present in the world today and excited about what's happening around us, despite a lot of craziness, right? But it's exciting. I'd rather be alive today than any other point in the history of the world, and I feel very blessed to have that opportunity. So, but yeah, so technology is great, right? And it enables us to do a lot of amazing things. But it's also really important to kind of dive into things that were around much longer than technology as we know it today.
Yeah, and to that point, Matti, I think what's really interesting is how the more we create this external acceleration of technology in the modern sense of that, there are thousands of years worth of these ancient traditions in science that used biotechnology because that's what they had, right? As preventative healthcare, as ways of purification, of illumination, of glorification, right? This like ability that we have just as much, right? Anything we're creating outside of us is simply an outcome of the incredible biotechnology we have inside of us. And I think that's often overlooked, which can be a symptom
of imbalance. Yeah. I feel like in the East, they're a little bit better about tapping into that than we here in the West. Um, so,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's no, it's going to be an exciting exploration for sure, and tapping into kind of the Eastern Western traditions and what they can teach us about life. I think is really and just being open minded. I think that's the thing I'm most excited about in this conversation and how how we see this kind of going unfolding with the wisdom matrix, and we've already seen it with with some of the guests that we have lined up, right? We're going to be tapping into I mean, one guest we have upcoming was a monk for quite a while, and is now a breathwork facilitator. Another was Episcopal priest who started going down the route of psychedelics, and how that brings out a closer connection to God. So there's a lot of these really cool and interesting conversations that we're going to be having. And one thing that's going to be great is with the format with the three of us, some of those conversations will be, 3-on-1, 3-on-2. Sometimes it might just be, one-on-one conversations. And then other times it'll be just the three of us jamming on a topic and hopefully learning a lot ourselves and providing, value to our listeners. But it's going to be really flowing and creative and a lot of fun, I think.
Mhm. So real quick, I just want to kind of circle back to something Travis said of this like being a watering hole and all are welcome, right? But I also want to like say that we are we also want to act as a bridge. We are all very high achieving, high capacity, um, success oriented men. And at the same time, we're heart centered and we're grounded and we care about our families and about our purpose in this and our mission in this planet. And so we want to speak to people who are, professionals, of course. Um, but show them that there are tools out there and there's wisdom out there and traditions out there that can bring more fullness to life, more richness to life. So not everything is about the paycheck, not everything is about the next step or the next rung on the ladder. The paradoxical thing is when we start to really tap into ancient wisdoms and ancient practices and focus on our own development, like here at home, not only with ourselves, our mind, our body, our spirit, but our loved ones, our children, our communities, all those other things, like in the professional world, become so much easier, right? And we start to shift from scarcity to abundance and from force to flow and force to attraction. And so I just kind of want to like throw all that out there to somebody who might be listening who is like, I don't know. I know Matti, Travis, and or Josh, and I love what they do in the business world. But what's all this stuff they're trying to bring into my life right now? And I promise you, it's all connected and it all supports your greater good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love the water analogy, and obviously the Bible talks about living water, and the beauty of it is it is an endless supply. You know, if we if we pay attention and if we acknowledge it, right?
Yeah, and being attuned to that is such a gift. And I think the platform of podcasting, like we mentioned earlier, in longer form, deeper conversation, what is it that we're broadcasting? What is the frequency of what we're sharing with the world? Where is it coming from within us? And I think anybody out there listening will quickly discover, that we are doing our absolute best to tune into that supply and that supply line and of divine consciousness, of unity and of love. And that's a big, powerful channel that we're hoping will flow through this and to others, to bring people together for sure. And I love what you said there, Josh. Like, we all have these incredible lived experiences, many of which we, the three of us, have shared, which is super cool. And Um, and I think that's also something that we often can feel missing out of our lives, or I have at times, right? Is connection to community and a connection to our most abundant sense of wellness. Like, what does that really mean? So it's almost like that watering hole is a well, right? And it's both inside and outside. And it's a fun metaphor to explore, especially in the context of Matti, your vision, which the Matrix Wisdom is also supporting in Maija Wellness, right? And what that ecosystem can become. And I forgot to mention that earlier, but I just want to say one of the reasons I'm here is very specifically because I am excited to support your vision in the world, Matti. And you have been a big supporter and in my corner for a long time with Piper's Angels Foundation and the Crossing, and with my family and community, and the community we've all co-created together. And for me, this feels like an expansion of a community we've been co-creating together, the three of us, for a long time. And I'm excited about that. So thank you for the invitation to be here. Huge, like immense gratitude. It's challenging me to step up in a different way.
Awesome. Well, thank you for saying that. And we get the chance to dive into our individual stories in the next couple episodes, which is going to be nice and juicy. I find my story not as exciting as Josh and Travis's, but we can't wait for everyone to learn more of our individual and collective gifts and the things that get us excited, like what we might be reasonably good at, but we're trying to gain mastery over. And so Travis does some amazing work with Qigong and is bringing that gift to people in South Florida and broadly. And so, and Josh with the coaching work you're doing. I mean, the breath work, the tools that you have in your chest that I've experienced firsthand is really beautiful. And so that's going to be a great opportunity for our listeners also to kind of learn from you guys. And, I hopefully over this period of time, I'll get good at something, ideally musical. It's never been something I've been particularly skilled at, or at least exposed to the outside world. But I do have a didgeridoo. I'm not very good at that. I pulled that out in actually a ceremony that we were in a couple months ago. In the middle of the ceremony, it did not land. So I need to spend some time on that. I also have some Tibetan singing bowls and whatnot. But hopefully over this period, I'll maybe we'll have a guest who I can pull aside and get some lessons from. But it's fun discovering the gifts that maybe we have hidden inside of us that we can kind of bring out to the world. And I think this podcast is part of that, right?
Yeah.
So we have an opportunity to reveal a bit about ourselves that maybe some of those even closest to us don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely it's part of my purpose, which is to empower the gifts in others. And often I can see them in others before they can see them in themselves. And one thing I will say, Matti, is you are a man of many talents and gifts. And one of the greatest is that you're one of the best fathers I know. And that's probably one of the most important things we could bring to life, is that, and that alone. And if there was nothing else, that would be enough. And aside from the fact that, you have an incredible ability, in my view, of being a masterful business engineer and architect, and how you can construct and build things. And now the material from which you're building is no longer in just the external world, but I think you're building from a source and a supply line that is much greater in its capacity, in its infinite capacity to touch people. And And yeah, I really admire you for everything that you have been in my life as a really truly devoted friend and brother, and also as a mountain goat, because I have tried to follow you on a trail before, and I was really impressed with your stamina. So you've got some mountain climbing stories that we must have an episode of the Wisdom Matrix about what the wisdom of climbing mountains. That's something that would be excellent to dive into.
The wisdom
Totally.
of getting to the top of the mountain and realizing that maybe you shouldn't have climbed that mountain.
And that's wisdom, right?
And that is wisdom. That is wisdom. Yeah, no, it's fun. Yeah, I do. I have discovered that I have a superpower, and that is going very, very long distances slowly. So,
Yep.
which is endurance. Endurance is definitely an asset. Well, when
That's
it's maybe
also
just
a spiritual quality, by the way.
it is for 100%. But yeah, lots of fun stories of climbing mountains, paddling oceans, convening around fires, and it's great. We're gonna have a lot of fun, sharing stories. I appreciate, Travis, what you said about being a father. It's how we bonded, I think, immediately when we met many years ago, as both having daughters the same age. It's a very important, part of my life, and very important to me. So I appreciate you saying that. So switching it up a little bit, let's fast forward a bit, and out of curiosity, maybe we'll start with you, Josh. Is if you could paint any picture you wanted and have one amazing epic guest on this podcast, living or maybe even not living, I don't know, but let's focus on living, just so we have a better chance of bringing it to reality at some point. Who would be kind of your epic guest, and just give a little bit of glimpse for listeners into kind of where our head is at in terms of what we could see this becoming?
Wow. There's like so many names coming to mind right now, but I'll just go with the very first one. Tony Robbins. And it's not, I haven't done any work with Tony Robbins. After 10 years of my own development, I'm kind of just starting to dive into his world. And I'm like, damn, this guy really is the GOAT. Like, he has he's a master at connecting with people and getting people to connect with themselves, and being able to, let go of self-limiting beliefs and traumas and unhealthy emotional patterns, and become greater versions of themselves. Another person that comes to mind is Joe Dispenza, doing similar work. And also I just love, I love his energy. Like, he's raw, he's real, he's honest, he's authentic, he doesn't hold punches. And that's who I aspire to be in my work, right? So that's the first name that came to mind.
That's amazing. Tony Robbins, luckily he lives in South Florida. He's not too far from
Yeah.
you guys.
Yeah.
I went to, this was years ago. I attended, I think it was called Business Mastery, that he had at the Palm Beach Convention Center. It was like a 2-3 day event. And man, his energy, lights out. He goes
It's
forever,
infectious.
never takes a break. He is a tour de force, without a doubt, and has brought so much to the world, and really a crazy background for him too. So he'd be, yes, I agree. He would be a great guest, as would Joe Dispenza. I don't know where Joe lives though. We got to track down Joe.
Somewhere in the ethers.
He's somewhere out there. How about you, Travis?
I know Joe's often visiting Marco Island. He hosts some of his retreats there. We've got a buddy who's the unofficial mayor of Marco Island, Mr. Josh Ferris. So he always gives me the heads up when Joe's in town. But yeah, it's a great question. Very difficult to just single out one alive being, human being. But I think if I had to, it would probably be Sadhguru as a living teacher, as someone who embodies the yogic science, as someone who has not only been a doorway for so much wisdom and for people. I mean, you talk about a light in the world. He's attracting millions and millions of people to wisdom. And he's not only doing that, but what is amazing to me is how he brings it into like real world impact. Like ecologically, a lot of the initiatives to save soil that he's been working on, to really, bring an ancient tradition in science to a modern application, so everybody can really like live it and breathe it in their everyday life. That would be, I think, probably the top of the list for me.
Sadhguru would be amazing. Yes.
Another one I'll just have to add him on, would be my Qigong teacher, Lee Holden. Like, Lee Holden is based out of Santa Cruz, California. What's so cool to me is he is that bridge. He is a living embodiment of the bridge between an ancient body of wisdom, Chinese medicine, the Taoist philosophy, Qigong, Daoyin, all these practices, and he's like packaged into this Western American, like, soccer player, father. Like he's just, I don't know, he's classic. So I would love to have him on as well.
Nice. Well, I'm going to go with a collection, not specific individuals, but what I would love to do is get a round table of kind of I would say the leaders from the biggest, conventional or traditional wisdom traditions, maybe like Christianity, Islam, Judaism, bring someone in from, just all these different, more religious tradition, get them around a round table, and just start having a jam session, right? Just talking about where there's the common connections, where some of the thoughts, where some of the principles might be a little bit different. But what I've found, and I especially in my when I had the opportunity in college once I was past my major requirements, I just got to take classes for fun. I ended up taking a lot of religion classes, and one of them was a professor I really loved. Was a professor of Islam. And I grew up Christian. I'm very much identify strongly as a Christian today. It's a core part of my belief system, and extremely important to me. But it's what was amazing in taking those classes. I was like, wow, there are a lot of similarities, and I think that can get lost in the world today about how we have a lot more in common than we suspect, and we have for a very long time. And so I would love to have a meeting of the minds, right? That would be a pretty amazing conversation to have. So that would be my vision for kind of the ideal guests and format. So
let's hold the vision. Yeah.
Let's hold the vision.
I could see that happening at the Maija Life Elevation Center in the mountains, right? Like, like this transmission of antenna of like the meeting of the masterminds of wisdom and tradition. And that sounds amazing. Yeah.
And that's another topic we'll get into with, as we dive into the episodes and invite everyone on the journey with us. The three of us, we have a vision to create a place, and maybe multiple places, but at least at the very beginning, a place, in the mountains of North Carolina, a life elevation center named Maija. We will get into why Maija and the story behind that on a future episode. But that is a shared vision amongst the three of us, and it's something that we are excited to invite everyone to join us in that, in seeing the journey live and in real life, and the ups and downs and the challenges and the achievements, and then hopefully at some point in the not too distant future, though when that is not entirely up to us. We'll have one big old party where everyone will be invited, and it will be a lot of fun. And so that is an exciting part of our collective vision, and I think the podcast, the Wisdom Matrix, definitely is in alignment and supporting that, and I appreciate the partnership, and excited to really allow people to see that journey, right? Because I mean, I've built multiple businesses, and Travis, you have as well, and Josh, in building your career. It's like, that's the process, right? It's kind of part of the exciting, it's part of the exciting, I would say the excitement of the experience, right? And it can be hard, but it can be really, really rewarding. But this will allow us to kind of open up the windows and the doors to the process, and invite people in. And I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. So I'm excited to have that be a core thread throughout the podcast, right? And we'll kind of create updates there, and then hopefully do some recordings on site as we find the land, which is a really fun part of the process, and then invite partners into that experience. So
we are definitely wading into the unknown and uncertainty, and as Alan Watts' book, The Wisdom of Uncertainty, right? It's like that is the amazing part, is that there's anything could happen, right? The
Infinite
possibilities,
possibilities.
potential, right? Yeah.
Infinite possibilities. That's what I tell my girls all the time. It's like, life would be so boring if you just knew exactly what was going to happen. And we cling to, like, secure. It's like our blankie, right? It's like we want to know what's going to happen, and seeing it through the eyes of teenagers is particularly interesting. And there's just so much unknown, right?
Yeah.
Their whole life ahead of them is unknown, really. But then they're in the middle of, like, they need to decide on college, they need to decide on a major, they need to decide on a life path. And so there's this kind of craving for certainty around that, or like, are they making the right decision? You're like, who knows? Like, just be open, embrace the uncertainty, and that's what makes life. It makes life hard sometimes, but it also makes it really exciting, and the idea that anything is possible, especially I'd say if you're an active participant in the process, but being an active participant with a level of detachment from the outcome.
Yeah. Yeah, right. I what I love about this Wisdom Matrix podcast and the timing of it too is all three of us are in major transitions in life. All three of us are stepping away from the certainty of what we've been building and growing and doing professionally for many years now, some of you decades. And all three of us are stepping into the unknown and the uncertainty. And this podcast kind of gets to capture our journeys and how we navigate this new terrain, if you will. And we kind of get to do it together and lean on each other and continue to learn from each other. But I'm really excited about the Wisdom Matrix. Yes, we'll have guests and we'll dive deep into topics that they are masters of. But also we're going to be sharing our own personal lived experiences. And so this topic of stepping into the unknown and embracing uncertainty is very relevant to all three of us right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. We're gonna have a great time, and we are. We are each going through transitions, as we always do, but big ones. It's which again, it goes to that, it's the wisdom of uncertainty, right? Is a really important one, and so everyone who's listening will be able to have a front row seat to all that. So it should
be in the splash zone.
Be in the splash zone. So yeah, so it's like, being at SeaWorld with Shamu. It's like you got to be careful where you're sitting, unless you just your goal is to get really wet. So
don't tempt me with a good time.
I know. It's been years since, I don't know what's going on with SeaWorld these days, but that was one of the fun experiences when my girls were little. They're now 17 and 16. But as little ones, it was all about going to the Magic Kingdom and the princess lunches and and all those experiences. And so I remember the first time I took them to SeaWorld and seeing them with the with Shamu was pretty wild. And they definitely wanted to sit in the first row, so we got drenched. Yeah, it's fun to have a front row seat, and get a little wet in the process. So,
yeah, it's pretty funny. We created, right? There was this version of the Magic Kingdom that was created, right, for people to go play in, and how important it is to realize how magical this kingdom is already. That doesn't require anything except to step outside. And like I saw, what was so cool this morning, knowing we were going to have this podcast, was I went for my run and I'm running along, and all of a sudden I caught something out of the corner of my eye, and I look up and there's this giant owl. I sent you guys a video and a picture of it. It like flew up, and you don't normally, I hear them in the morning in the dark, but you don't normally see them in that transition between day and night. And this big owl is just sitting there, and it's so interesting just like being in a moment with a bird like that, because it's so present, and it's looking right at you, and it has better eyesight than we do, right? And it's like staring you down, and you're like, just the energy of that, and it'll be interesting. I'll have to do some research on why and how the owl became such a symbol of wisdom. I'm not really entirely sure, but
it's because they can turn their head around. I think in almost a full circle, right?
They can see in all directions.
All directions, so they know what's coming from all angles. But yeah, wisdom and owls. That's definitely a long-standing one. Yeah, we see owls quite often at night when I'm on the last walk of the night before bed with my dog, and we get a lot of owls in our neighborhood, and it's always freaks him out a little bit. But we also get coyotes, which luckily we don't run across coyotes too often on our walk. Although he is a ferocious 25-pound cavapoo who might be able to fend off a baby coyote, but yeah, there's a lot of beauty out there, being in nature, and that's one thing that we're going to have the opportunity to do as well, and particularly and coming up, not in, I guess, in 2 months, is we'll be able to do some recording at some events that we'll be at together, including in nature and beautiful environments, and I think I'm really looking forward to that. When any opportunity to be together, but then also kind of take the show on the road, and invite people into some of the experiences that we have planned for ourselves, and then ultimately opening up the invitation to listeners as well to join us in some of these experiences. And so that's going to be a lot of fun, and there's so much wisdom in nature and just being out, breathing fresh air, and especially away from the big city noise and grind. So that'll be an exciting part of this journey as well.
Mm-hmm.
most
I
definitely.
just had the pleasure of I spent 6 days in the Mojave Desert last week, completely offline, off grid, and I was there with a men's retreat. But this point of nature being medicine, man, like spending that much time. I mean, 6 days, it's like it's only 6 days, but also like how often do we get to take 6 days and disconnect from quote unquote real life and go frolic in nature. Um, but the desert's wisdom and energy to be able to just really settle everything, the mind, the nervous system, and oh, like what a reset I feel coming out of the desert. And so really
So
excited.
how many scorpions did you find in your sleeping bag?
Zero this time around, but when I went
Oh,
last year, I had a little baby scorpion in my boot one morning
those
on the
are the
outside of
worst.
my
Those are the
tent.
most venomous, right?
I know we did have three rattlesnakes come into camp, and thankfully we had a couple snake whisperers that were able to, get them in boxes and go transport them to safety. But that was pretty cool.
I have a friend who's like that, and we were down in San Diego. This was probably 10 years ago, and we had rented this house, and there was this big rattlesnake in the driveway, and like I mean I had no idea what to do. I mean I'm definitely not I have no skills that I can kind of tap into when dealing
You
with a
didn't.
rattlesnake other than to leave the location of the rattlesnake. But and my buddy, he's like a biotech entrepreneur. I mean, nothing in his that I knew about him would lead me to believe that he could handle a rattlesnake. But man, he jumped into action and he got that rattlesnake, got it in a bag, transported away. I'm like, how in the world did you know how to do that? He's like, it's easy. He's like, everyone knows how to deal with a rattlesnake. I'm like, I don't think so. But that was, I'm like, I'm glad that was you and not me. But yeah, that is definitely a skills. That's a skill set that some people have and many people don't.
We will not be teaching you how to handle rattlesnakes on this podcast.
No, though that could be actually that's an idea for yeah. We could bring in an expert, maybe someone in India who is a master with snakes, cobra. Got
The
some
snake charmer
the
episode.
snake charmer.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. Yeah.
we should
Yeah.
definitely do the snake
This
charmer episode.
the serpent wisdom strikes again.
We could have
I don't know.
five kind of cameras. There can be the three of us, the snake charmer, and the snake.
I don't, Madi, I think this could be your calling. You said you wanted to learn musical instruments. I know the didgeridoo, you've been trying it out, but maybe switch to something smaller like the flute. And, you could become a snake charmer, man, and start leading snakes to safety, leading them away from hurting people, harming people.
Yeah, just it's gonna be a fun party trick. But yeah, that would. I think we're on to something. So we'll put that in the hopper for future episodes. So if anyone knows any snake charmers that would want to and be excited to come on the Wisdom Matrix, please let us know, and we would love to have them on board. Well, with that, that is a fun way to wrap up this episode, and just excited, for the journey going forward, guys. Excited to have everyone on board. Please invite friends, family, foes, allies, whoever you want to join us on this journey. And we're excited to start rolling out a number of episodes. We'll have an episode a week that will come out, and it will be a variety of topics. But the goal is to really when we go into a topic to go deep, right? And we are students and learners in this process. We are not we are wise in ways and unwise in many other ways. So we're excited to enter this kind of from the framework of the three unwise men, and be on the journey with everyone, and learn from our guests, and hopefully uncover things within ourselves through the process that maybe have been hidden. Thank you for being part of the Wisdom Matrix with us. We can't wait to bring lots of great content to the world, and hopefully, add some levity and wisdom to the world we live in today. Travis, Josh, any parting words before we let everyone run off and do their thing?
Travis?
Ready for the journey. Let's do this.
Liftoff.
No parting words, but I would just invite the two of you and everybody listening just to close your eyes real quick and connect to your breath. Take a deep inhale. And take another inhale and just bring something to mind that you are grateful for in this moment. Beautiful. Thank you both for being in my life, and looking forward to this journey together.
Thank you. And yes, thank you, Josh, for the reminder to breathe. It's a good reminder. It's important. Don't stop breathing. All right. Love you guys. And we will see everyone again soon.